that right there, and we can even lower it. There we go.
As
There we go.
Scott mentioned, we have a mixture of speakers today. We have Jodi's college roommate, Jenny Hager, who's going to speak in a moment. We have a statement from Jodi's family. We have a couple of Jodi's co-workers who are here today, Dan Klaus and Doug Murbach. And we also will have a brief statement from Ryan Herman, a special agent with the DCI. He's here to explain if somebody's watching this or someone here has some information to come forward. He's not in a position to answer questions about the case per se, but he will be able to give you an idea how to reach him and where to go from here. I think we'll open with Dean. If you could, we have a statement from Jodi's family, which June is a particularly tough month for them because Jodi's birthday is June 5th, and then this anniversary. And year after year, they're putting together these statements, we're hoping this is the last year that we're here, that the next time we have a gathering, it's in Long Prairie, Minnesota, because Jodi's been found, and all of her loved ones up there and people from the community can be there to say their goodbyes. Thank you. Dean? Thank you. This is Dean Hager at DeanHager. Thank you.
I should mention, first of all, it is a sad day, but seeing the pictures behind us, it just reminds all of us of what a joy Jodi was. And for what it's worth, I remember the first day I met her. She was, I was dating a good friend of hers, and my wife Jenny, who's my wife now, introduced me to Jodi. And I said, "Jodi Huisentruit, what an interesting last name. My kindergarten teacher was Miss Huisentruit." And she said, "What a funny thing. My sister used to be a kindergarten teacher, and we discovered that her sister, Joanne, was indeed my kindergarten teacher as well as my brother." So all these years later, to read a statement on behalf of who I can only refer to as Miss Huisentruit and Jodi's family is a sad honor, but I'm happy to do it. So this is a message from Jodi's family. It's now been 28 years since our Jodi went missing, and it's so hard to put into words the emotions we are feeling as we mark yet another year without answers and justice in her case. 28 years since we last saw her smile, heard her laugh, or had a chance to hug her and tell her how much we love her. 28 years of not being able to share in experiences and make memories together with her. 28 years of pure anguish, dealing with the loss of our dear Jodi and trying to find answers to what happened to her on June 27th, 1995. We, Jodi's family, would like to say a big thank you to all of you who have shown up here today and who continue to show interest in Jodi's case. We know that along with us, you feel the pain and agony over Jodi's case still being unresolved. Jodi lived her life as an optimist, and she had a great passion for living life to the fullest. She was a bright light in this world, and we would often hear her exclaim, "I love life." We know that she would want us to be happy, be positive about the future, and to make the most out of our lives. However, we have to admit that as much as we remind ourselves to do so, sometimes it's just too hard to feel that way. We have our moments when we feel very sad, bitter, frustrated, and angry that this happened to our sweet Jodi and to our family. Jodi has had such a bright future ahead of her, and she should be here every day enjoying it. She deserves better, and we continue to pray that someone will come forward with the missing piece that will finally solve this case and give Jodi the justice that she deserves. Our sincerest gratitude to all who have worked tirelessly on Jodi's case over the last 28 years and continue to do so, including law enforcement and FindJodi.com. There are simply not enough words to thank you, and we wholeheartedly appreciate your dedication to finding Jodi and solving her case. Thank you also to Jodi's network of hope for the great work you do in Jodi's name, including the scholarships and safety training. We know that Jodi would be so proud and grateful for everything you have done and continue to do. We never thought a tragedy like this would happen to our family. Please do not make us wait another year for answers. We implore you, If you know something, say something. The pain of not knowing where Jodi is or what happened to her is a pain we would never wish on anyone. Please help us bring Jodi home. Sincerely, Jodi's family.
It never gets easier. We talk to their family a lot, and it feels like each year we go through this, and we keep saying the same message. Don't make her family go through another Thanksgiving, another birthday, another Christmas not knowing. So if you're watching this, if you're reading this, if you know anything, even if you're not sure how strong it is, reach out, and we'll give you some contact information, but reach out. Start with law enforcement. If you're not comfortable, we have a line as well at Find Jodi, but it's not going to solve it if you continue to sit on a hunch or information. Next, Jenny Hager, formerly Jenny Seifert. You will see a number of pictures of Jodi and Jenny from when you were college roommates at St. Cloud State.
Yeah.
And then you, as I understand, you reconnected when Jodi was down here and you were in Rochester. So if you could share some of your memories of Jodi and what you would like people to know about the Jodi beyond what happened to her.
Sure.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say one thing first. As Dean and I were driving down here today from the Twin Cities, we were reminiscing about 28 years ago, and I was pregnant with my first child, and she is now 27, and it just really struck us that our daughter is the age that Jodi was when she disappeared. And that just, wow, that really, really hit home because, we look at our daughter's life as it's just beginning. She's just on the cusp of experiencing great things and doing great things. And Jodi was taken at such a young age. She was so vibrant. And her career was probably going to just start to take off. And, this might have been the stepping stone for that next opportunity where she was going to, really make it big, which was always her goal. So I was her roommate at St. Cloud State. It was my senior year. She was a year younger. And we met through our major. We were both mass communications. That's what they called it at the time. Broadcasting emphasis. And so we got to know each other through the classes and all the different organizations, and we just clicked. And Jodi, and then we decided to, she would move in. We had a space opening up in my apartment my senior year. So her junior year, she lived with me my senior year. And most of the pictures on the board that you see, if they're not from that apartment and that year, they're from our wedding. That photo of Jodi and I at our wedding sits in our bedroom now. But she was just, the statement from Joanne and her family, she was so vibrant. She was so, when Joanne refers to our Jodi, I kind of felt the same way, like she was our Jodi. And if you knew her, when you would get her into a giggling, laughing spell, it was just, you couldn't not just fall over laughing. She didn't even really have a laugh. It was a true giggle. And when she got going, it just like everybody was just giggling, and we would laugh till we hurt. And she just was always so much fun. We had the best year. And Jodi was so interested in people. I think that she was born to be a reporter because when you were with her, you were having a conversation, but there was something about her that was just always, she was wanting to find out more about you. Like she was just that interviewer, that reporter from the very beginning. And she always made you feel so special because she wanted to listen to everything you had to say about how you got to be the person you were and, what your goals were. And she was just so interested in you. And the funniest thing living with her, I mean, Jodi never stopped. She was like a ball of energy, and we hardly ever saw her. Good thing I had classes with her and saw her in my major, because she was hardly ever at home. She was always doing stuff. And so the minutes that she would be home, we would all be gathering, sitting around, maybe just talking. And just mid-conversation, she would just be like, guys, I just need 10 minutes. And then she was just out sleeping for like 10 minutes just to get that little bit of rest, because she was constantly on the go. And I just remember, as I was reminiscing, so many times that we'd be chatting all together and she would just, guys, and then she would just go out. And then she'd wake up in fits of giggles. And she was a joy. And it's hard every year this day to remember all the years that she's missed, and to not know, what her future could have been, who her family would have been. We set her up with some people, who her future husband would have been, we don't know. But all of my memories of Jodi are special and precious, and certainly she didn't deserve this, happening to her. So,
As a friend, can you say what it would mean to what happened to Jodi, to cover that, as much as it's not going to be?
yeah.
What would it mean to you?
I mean, I think of her family. I knew her mom, who passed away before knowing what happened to Jodi. Jodi called her teddy bear. That was her mom. And her mom, she had lost her dad many years before. And I think of Joanne and Jill. It would mean so much, for that family to finally have closure, and to, the unknowing, the not knowing is the nightmare, because of course you think the worst and you can't get past that. So it would mean everything, to find Jodi, but especially for her family. I can't imagine that loss for anyone. So it would bring closure to all of us, So we just hope that someone will come forward and, know every piece of information is important. Nothing is too small. So if you're triggered with anything, we would just ask that you reach out and let people know, the Find Jodi team, the detectives. But yeah.
Doug Murbach and Dan Klaus could come up. These are members of Jodi's, both of you please, members of Jodi's KIMT family. So many people were affected that day beyond Jodi's immediate family and close friends like Jenny. And I would like you and Dan.
Dan said he's going to opt out for now.
You could tell us, you were here that day and you were actually with Jodi.
Yeah, there's some triggers that happen. You have a beautiful, wonderful day like this was very similar to the day that Jodi disappeared. So it reminds me a lot of that day, which are not good memories. Prior to that, the night before, there was a big thunderstorm. So we had a lot of thunderstorm and rain this weekend. So that was another trigger that kind of made me think of Jodi. But I think of Jodi pretty much at some point every day. You can't not think of Jodi. It just gets back to, we want justice. We want somebody to be found. And it's not through lack of effort. It's not through anything that we haven't tried. Law enforcement has done everything they can. Outside agencies like FindJodi.com have done just an incredible job keeping Jodi's story out there and keeping her memory alive. It's very heartwarming today to see everybody that's here, private citizens who just have an interest in Jodi, the media that keeps Jodi's story out there, and law enforcement that still is working hard to get this solved. I gotta admit, I watch a lot of the TV shows that are out there, and just last week watched 2020 with Kristen Smart in San Luis Obispo, California, where Caroline was the news director for many years. That was a cold case for 26 years, and somebody came forward with one piece of information to help break the whole thing wide open. So we always maintain that hope. And if we have hope, maybe someday we'll get justice. It's just really not fair. Jodi would love a day like this. She'd be out on the lake, water skiing. She might be golfing. She was a summer girl. So this is the kind of day that always reminds me of Jodi. And we remember her today, and we keep hope alive, and we keep the hope that something will happen that will get law enforcement the tip, the clue they need for justice. Thank you.
As a lifelong journalist, has there ever been anything that spiked your curiosity, which we all need to have in journalism? Has there ever been a case that spiked your curiosity more than this case, and why?
Well, it's way above and beyond curiosity. It's real personal. It's somebody we knew, somebody that we liked, somebody that we worked with. Jodi was a friend, played golf with her, did things outside the station with her on occasion, things for the station, but well, there's nothing in my life that compares with this. I mean, the violence in this country has to stop. It just has to stop. And Jodi was a victim of that violence, and that was 28 years ago. And it's worse now than it's been then. And that's not right. We should be doing better, not worse.
As I mentioned earlier, DCI Special Agent Ryan Herman is going to tell you what kind of things, what information he's looking for, how you can get in touch with him or the Mason City Police. You're not in a position to discuss the case, but what can you do if you're watching this or if you're here today to help you on it?
Thank you. As Caroline mentioned, I won't be answering any questions about the investigation, but after 28 years, I think closure is a term that's been thrown around a lot this morning. And I think it's important, whether an incident takes place tomorrow or 28 years ago, it's important that closure comes to those families. So to quote the letter from Jodi's family and friends, if you know something, say something. I think any bit of information, any clue, anything, whether it's about Jodi's disappearance or about Jodi herself, feel free to reach out to law enforcement, the Mason City Police Department, or the DCI. My direct email is linked on findjodi.com. So go direct with me, send me an email, and I'll do everything I can to try to respond in a timely manner. So that's just about it. If you like I said, if you know something, say something. That's the easiest way. So anything else?
And aside from whether you have specific information on the case, if you'd like to be engaged in the journey to find Jodi, we have flyers here and online. We encourage you to post our updated one and put a hashtag Find Jodi. Just keep it out there, because we believe, given the way things often go, that whoever took Jodi, whoever's involved or might be related to whoever did it, is probably coming to our site, is probably following the case. So I think it's important that they never get any comfort that we're not going to be out there, that law enforcement isn't going to be there. So just flood your Twitter feeds or wherever you want to put it, Facebook, hashtag Find Jodi, and just do your part wherever you are. You can put it up in a coffee shop in town. I think particularly in this area, locally, it's important to get the word out more than, frankly, the national shows, which get a lot of national attention, but we think that there could be answers a lot closer to home. I'd like to introduce Allison, just motion to Ashley rather, from Reagan Outdoors. They have been very generous in giving us a very good rate for our billboards, and today you put up a digital board you donated, and it's where if people want to see it? Okay, that's up there today, and the main one, which we just renewed for another year, and there's a picture of it here, is on South Monroe. And what's the cross street? The best way to describe that? We have the official address, but what's the best way to describe it?
Over on South Monroe.
You're right. Just drive down South Monroe, and it's on the
Over by Big Blue.
by Big Blue, if that means something. Scott, want to wrap it up?
I just want to say thank everybody